Welcome to Free Social Rock Climbing. My name's Adam. Today I'm going to show you how I set up a abseiling anchor system with a load releasable anchor and a guideline. This is the guideline, this is the middle of the rope, except it's not quite the middle, it's offset by about this much rope, which will come into play later. Main figure 8 includes a titanium ring connected via 4 strands of 1.8 tonne cord to a second titanium ring which holds a munter hitch. The brake strand of the munter hitch is secured by a prusik hitch back to titanium ring number 1. There's a little reaver bend in there. To know how to tie a reaver bend, see one of my other videos. This on its own is good to abseil on, but just in case, I've backed it up with a catastrophe knot which doubles as the starting point for a chain stitch to stow all the excess rope for the load releasable anchor. Further down at the cliff face, via a rope protector, I have the guideline tied into a belay device which is currently locked off so I can work hands-free. That guideline then gets tied into Mr. Packer's belay device or belay loop, depending on what sort of device or setup you got. Mr. Packer is apparently left-handed. This gets clipped into the abseiling line, which has its own dedicated thread-through bunchy rope protector. Now it's really convenient if this is bunchy, so that you can easily clip in below the rope protector but still have it over the edge of the cliff when the abseiler is abseiling. Now the rope protector has a prusik hitch or similar, setting the length. So the brake strand of the guide belay device could well have a catastrophe knot in it, but in this case I've got it locked off. That gets hanked up to stow all that excess rope. Now this purple rope protector comes into play later when I set the whole thing up for a top rope climbing setup, which is where that nice hank of rope with a titanium ring in the middle of the rope comes into play. Because it's tied in, there's one less carabiner to check for gate lock and gate orientation. In case all that is as clear as mud, the basic components are a device and rope under the control of the abseiler, which is naturally at the abseiler's belay loop, and a device and rope under the control of the guide, which is where the figure 8 gets tied into the abseiler's belay device or loop. Now this one's got to have the ability to lock off, which it currently is, and the abseiling line, which is the top one here, has to have a load releasable anchor so that if they get their shirt caught or their beard caught or their hair caught, you can lock off on the guideline and release on the abseiling line, and once they clear the obstruction they can then be locked off on the abseiling line so they can abseil on a good solid line, and the guide can unlock on the guideline. So now I've got it set up for top rope climbing as opposed to abseiling and guiding. I've got myself clipped into the abseiling line, which I've left in, The old safety line on the right, this one, has the old belay device untied and stored there. Got the rope protector over the edge to a big figure 8, which I'll show you later from a different angle, up through the purple rope protector and up to the secondary anchor on the right hand side. So here it is from a different perspective. I'm clipped into the abseiling line at the moment. I've got a nut into the cliff there, onto a prusik, and I'm tied off so I can go hands free and start filming safely. So once you've got your equalised single figure 8 in a bite, you can then tie it through the titanium ring and follow it back through and have a doubled up figure 8 knot. This is the middle of the climbing line, but it's also set up on the middle of the hank. All you have to do is undo that final half hitch and give it a bit of a drop, and it unravels perfectly. The beauty of having a titanium ring instead of 2 steel carabiners at the top is you don't have to waste time checking 2 steel carabiners for gate lock and orientation. You can't quite misorient a circle, and there's no gates in a full solid circle. So once you put the rope through, it's physically captive.